But they're not, Ben Stiller's not thinking about that when they're developing the script, which is brilliant and is having a moment right now, a cultural moment. So that plus the Epstein files and protecting child rapists, plus what's happening now in Ireland, no one's going to connect these dots better than us, I think.
You said this before. You said this before, Autumn, that we got to get the message right. What got us together just yesterday was the idea that we're anti-apology. All these organizations in the UK and South Korea, they're all demanding apologies right now.
Fuck your apology. Deal with this.
It doesn't make any sense to be demanding apologies. The punishment doesn't fit the crime, in my mind.
Yeah, like how can you ask for an apology and raise awareness when there's this crime, like you're saying, that's bigger than...
Like, where are the priorities at?
I think that it hasn't been framed in a way for people to get the gravity of that. And you do such good work around that and try to say this message. And then society we've been raised in isn't ready to process that. So we go back to raising awareness about our birth certificates and adoptee rights, which is fine, but it's also what you're saying. It's like, where's the outrage for the murders and the cover-ups and the trafficking?
It's being covered. Like, it's being covered. The media has been doing an amazing job. There's documentaries like Into the Fire, the Assunta case. There's the coverage in Ireland right now with the tomb excavation of 796 infants and children. And it's not the first one, by the way, right? This is not the first mass grave in the world. So the media has been covering this. And there are vigils, people are coming together, there are communities that have more localized outrage. When Jung-in, 16-month-old baby in Korea, was found to be abused to death, there was a whole campaign, I'm sorry, Jung-in. South Korea all came together and protested. There was a moral outrage.
There was more action taken in South Korea, but then that was just recently rolled back. What happened?
The case of Jung-in's murder was in 2021. In the last couple of years, there's been a push for an investigation into falsified documents of Korean adoptees. In between there's the ongoing issue about citizenship here in the US, deportation issues, the case of Adam Krapser. It's fascinating just to see there's such a huge push to keep the focus on adult adoptee rights. Make it about adult adoptee voices, adult adoptees, and their human rights violations. And I'm over here saying, but infants and children are being killed in South Korea, in the UK, in the US, in Australia, like across the world. And most of the movements, most of these organizations continue to say, but we need to keep it focused on what is happening to adult adoptees.
There are a lot of parallels with what's going on with the Epstein files right now. That's what's in the news. That's what has gotten everybody riled up, because politicians and people in power have used moral panic, and usually children being abused. You really get a lot of votes for that because it's babies that people care about. No one wants dead babies in any form. The same with pedophiles. Like, it's easy. It's low-hanging fruit to get people outraged. Moral panic drives votes, power. And I think the tie-in that we have being leaders right now is that we see it. We don't have anything to lose. Like, we've already lost so much, our whole history. If anyone's seen Severance, that's like the point they make. It's like morally wrong to do that to somebody, to create somebody without memories of their past, having no history. And I'm over here watching it like, what do people think adoption is? Ben Stiller's not thinking about that when they're developing the script, which is brilliant and is having a moment right now, a cultural moment. So that plus the Epstein files and protecting child rapists, plus what's happening now in Ireland. And then no one's going to connect these dots better than us, I think.
Well, I'm glad you're watching Severance. You're keeping up with the Epstein issue. I'm very like laser focused on the crimes against humanity to our population.
I
So
know, but I also know that we have to give the people what they want, which is Epstein files and severance, and why I prompted ChatGPT to write us a script so that we don't.
Hmm.
We're trying to hit in a different way because Moses, you do it and you do go live for like people can find you and hear exactly when you think.
The way I keep it relevant, what is happening in South Korea right now with investigations into the falsified documents of hundreds of cases, the fact that South Korea has just ratified the Hague Adoption Convention in the face of the investigations, like really the investigations of falsified document cases bear no
See, I don't
relevance.
know what you're talking about. Even me, I'm like, these are
This
two,
this
these
is why
concepts are
you and I are doing this
and
together
I
because
can't.
you're watching
Exactly.
Severance and I'm like do you know what's going on in South Korea? Do you know what's going on, but
And
what
I'm like,
brought us
pop culture.
together,
Yes.
what brought us together is the fact that our communities, right? The adult adoptee movements are just so focused on wanting an apology from their countries, from their government. For me, my moral outrage starts with, but they continue to kill infants and children. And
That's a good
why,
talking point. It,
like,
why isn't it
why are
landing?
we not,
I know.
why are there not adult adoptee movements about that?
Well, you started one. So, like, way to go. But exactly, why isn't that landing? I wonder if the audience would get it, you know? Like, I want it to be palatable in a different way. I want us to be like pundits that are talking about not only pop culture and newsworthy things,
Yeah.
but tying in like our root cause and our shared mission. Like abolish adoption is to care for people, women and children, and stop exploiting people. And I don't know if we can build that world, but we certainly haven't. We don't have that.
Well, you said this before. You said this before, Autumn, that we got to get the message right. Words matter, language matters. That's what creates our realities, right? So you call it abolish adoption. I was there 2, 3 years ago. I'm now calling it human trafficking and a child supply market. So that's a place to start is this is what the world sees it as adoption. And we are kind of dealing with this. Do we reform it or do we abolish it at this point? And right now, the majority of everybody is saying, yes, let's make it better. Let's make it more ethical. And I'm like, are you kidding? Do you see the outcomes? Why do you want to like how can you make a crime better? That's one of my that
Bingo. Okay,
right?
let's talk about the fact that maybe adoption shouldn't be a word. You want to, should
So
we
so
try this?
before we get into the script, I just want
Okay.
to put the ick factor out on AI. Like when you mentioned,
Oh, yeah, we're both ick about it.
when you mentioned AI developed a script for us, I just want to throw that out there for the other folks that are kind of anti-AI like me. So yes,
AI, we're all, but that's another very timely thing because everyone's using it.
absolutely,
We're reckoning with that too. We're gonna
absolutely.
like just go for it, but it's not. It like can be a tool that we use. I no,
Like
you'll see.
okay, so we'll just do a read through. Buried proof, mass graves, media silence, and the adoption lie.
Hosted by Rebecca Autumn Sansom and Moses Farrow.
Okay, but you referred to as autumn.
Yes,
You prefer autumn.
I
Okay.
prefer Autumn and
So that's already
yeah.
a hit against AI calling you Rebecca. How
Why
dare
is it?
AI call you Rebecca?
But some of the things it says are true and I agree with. So it's really
Let's get into it.
interesting moment. But yeah, let's get into it. They told us we were chosen. They told us we were lucky. And now they're digging up 150 infant corpses from a former mother and baby home in Ireland and calling it history.
No, that's not history. That's a crime scene. And this isn't a reunion story. This is a reckoning.
Welcome to Show Name TBD. I'm Autumn.
I'm Moses Farah, and today we're not whispering. We're not asking nicely. We're coming for the truth. Actually, we're coming with the truth. How about that? We're coming
Yeah, not for, with.
We already got the truth.
Yeah, we got the truth. We know the truth. No one will listen to us. 796 infants died in Tomb, and it's very interesting to me that it's called Tomb. Tomb! How? Like, somebody, the ancestors are speaking, you know? Like, 150 bodies are being exhumed. That's not a scandal. That's a freaking body count.
These weren't homes. These were death camps for unwed mothers run by the church, funded by the state, and sanitized for the media.
Let's stop pretending this was a tragedy. This was a business model.
If you're adopted, you were either the product or the collateral. They buried the ones who didn't survive the pipeline and they sold the rest.
And now we're digging up proof, and they still won't name it. Let's talk about Severance. You know, the Apple TV show, the hit, Emmys galore. Workers split their minds. One self for work, one for life. Neither remembers the other.
Sound familiar?
That's adoption. That's literally been our magazine for years. Like VK Jackson said, we're forced to live disconnected lives. What they took from us, our names, our language, our bloodlines. That wasn't lost. That was severance.
And then they handed us a script. Be grateful, be quiet, and smile for the cameras.
We're not grateful. We're not smiling. We're the survivors of a severed system. And we're remembering everything. Let's get into the UK protest. Adoptees showed up, demanded truth, demanded justice. The BBC was there. Cameras were rolling.
And they said nothing about Ireland. Now, I want to say the media has been doing an amazing job of covering the excavation in Ireland. So
we'll link that in the show notes. So that's an AI faux pas right here.
That's another that's like strike. I'm counting. That's like strike 4 against AI already. 4 strikes against AI.
It's also kind of good.
But it does speak to like, for me, I do have this love-hate relationship with the media because they do cover the happy adoption stories, and then they also cover these horrific crimes. How is the media reconciling covering both sides of this industry?
That's a good point. And it actually segues back into the script. They'll cover healing. They'll cover reunions, but they won't cover bones.
Because they're not ashamed. They're just pissed we found the bodies.
Shouts out to Irish historian Catherine Corliss.
She's really been at it for over a decade.
Oh, yeah. And
yeah.
Doing a lot of great work.
Let's get this straight. These weren't orphanages. They were baby farms. The babies were never unwanted. They were unprofitable if they stayed with their mothers.
Okay, can I just say AI win for that line? They were unprofitable if they stayed with their mothers? I don't know.
I can't. I don't want to give a point to AI, but if it is a powerful statement for sure, because it does speak to directly that this is an industry, a for-profit industry, that we are commodities, that we are productized.
I think that's the narrative that might land with people.
But yeah, I mean, buying and selling people has been written about, has been put out there forever.
but
You know,
not,
it is either a main plot or a subplot somewhere in like virtually every story that has ever been written about human beings.
but it's not landing right, or else it would stop happening. Like the world we want to build has never existed, right? So that's why this is hard, but it's not impossible. And I think the time is totally now.
Well,
And
now,
adoption should be the leaders of this moment.
this is why I point out that this is propaganda and brainwashing. This is how adoption is seen as adoption and human trafficking is seen as human trafficking, and neither would ever know adoption is not human trafficking, and human trafficking does not involve adoption. The common denominators, buying and selling people,
Yeah.
plain and simple, buying and selling people, right? They were not profitable if they stayed with their mothers. We need to cut through this propaganda of adoption. Stop calling it adoption.
Yeah, I agree. I don't like that. I think saying adoption is steeped in good vibes that are false. So we can't
It's
keep using
all
the
this
word.
programming in our head.
I know.
That we're meant to be grateful, that this is a good thing. We're saving children's lives. Yeah, you know, adoption is in the best interest of the child. I can't tell you how many people know that across the world, have been saying that for decades. It's like, again, it's just an automatic response. Oh, adoption, that was in the best interest of the child.
I mean, they told people cigarettes were good for them forever. Doctors prescribed cigarettes. So we can do this. It's just hard.
At one point, the whole world agreed that slavery was okay, was the common culture.
Because they were making so much money. You know, a bale of cotton got $2,000, and that's so much money. Like, let's say $2 million. Going to fight to keep that income coming, no matter who you're hurting. And that's the same. Yeah, it's the business model. It works. Money. But why doesn't it land? We've got to. Okay, you want to get back into the script?
Let's get this straight. These weren't orphanages, they were baby farms. The babies were never unwanted. They were unprofitable if they stayed with their mothers.
And adoption became the way to launder them. New names, new identities, new markets.
In the US, Irish babies were adopted out to white families for thousands of dollars. The church and state ran a human export economy wrapped in holy language.
They called it love. It was trafficking. I mean, you want to know why we're still talking about this in 2025? Because the same men who buried babies in Irish graves, mass graves, even if they used nuns in habits to do so, are the same kind of men who protected Jeffrey Epstein.
And right now, the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, is literally running from the room when he's asked to release Epstein's client list, shutting down committees, blocking public disclosure. What does that tell you?
It tells you they don't care about children. They care about protecting each other. Priests, judges, lawmakers, billionaires, they all move the same way. Covered up. Gaslight the survivors. Erase the evidence.
They sealed our adoption records. They sealed Epstein's court files. They buried our siblings in unmarked graves. They buried Epstein's victims under legal silence.
Different kids, same cover up.
The only difference is now we're watching. Now we're documenting. We're surviving, and we are not afraid to name names.
Do that one again, but like more outrageous.
Are you directing me?
Sorry.
Are you a filmmaker, by the way? Do you like to direct people?
It was so good, but
Do it with more feeling.
This is gonna go viral, Moses.
Do it with more outrage. The only difference is now we're watching, we're documenting, we're surviving, and we are not afraid to name names.
That was good. And let's talk about how they got the voters on their side, how they turned protect the children into a political weapon.
They called Democrats baby killers. They called queer people groomers. They ran entire campaigns on the idea that they were the moral ones. White babies, wild babies. That was not a slip up, by the way. Wild babies were dying in their institutions.
These weren't pro-life campaigns. These were power grabs built on fear, shame, and manufactured outrage.
They told America to fear liberal pedophiles while shielding the Catholic Church, while hiding Epstein's client list, while burying dead infants in septic tanks in Ireland.
They took our stolen childhoods and turned them into a political talking point. They weaponized our pain, erased our truth, and used the word family to justify control.
It was never about saving babies. It was about owning the narrative. And they did for decades.
But we're here now, and we're not asking anymore.
Here's the irony. The moral panic they built their empire on, the fear of child harm, of baby killers, of predators in plain sight, they were describing themselves.
And then came Epstein. Not some fringe creep, not some lone wolf, but a man with a black book full of presidents, billionaires, royalty, and clergy.
He wasn't an exception. He was the blueprint.
Epstein is the moment people started to wake up, the aha moment that the very men screaming about saving children were, in fact, hurting them behind closed doors, flying them to private islands and calling it normal.
And when the public started asking questions, they killed him. And then they sealed the records, just like they sealed ours, just like they buried our siblings.
Side note, Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer that got him that sweet plea deal in 2008, I think, died yesterday.
Mm.
Interesting. Epstein was the glitch in the matrix, and people are starting to see the code.
This isn't about left versus right. This is about power versus truth. And truth is finally pushing back.
Let's be really clear. Epstein didn't make Epstein. He didn't build the system. He was just one cog in a 100+ year machine.
The Irish Catholic Church was doing this before Epstein was born. The Magdalene laundries, the baby homes, the trafficking of Irish children to America. That's not conspiracy. That's our history.
Yeah, it's not a conspiracy if there's this much evidence. And just like Gaddafi didn't invent empire, Epstein didn't invent elite abuse. They're just the ones who got caught in the light.
The system is older than television, older than the term adoption reform, older than most of our birth certificates, which we still don't have, which, okay, this is like strike number 10 against it, which not all of us don't have, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily going after my birth certificate as an international adoptee, right? Like, this is a national issue with domestic adoptees. And I'm using that language, by the way, right? Because
A lot of people don't know it. And that is like all of my friends who don't know anything about adoption, that they have an aha moment when I tell them how hard it was for me to get my original birth certificate. They're like, you have more than one birth certificate? What are you talking about? And I'm like, well, yeah, because adoptees and people in witness protection, we have two. And they don't know that. How would they know that?
well,
But that is shocking to them and they don't like it.
let's unpack this a little bit. There's really two issues in there. There's original birth certificates, which, by the way, I don't refer to them as original birth certificates. They're our birth certificates, period.
Thank you.
The ones
point.
that are amended, the amended birth certificates that replace the people who gave birth to us with the people who adopted us,
It says our
right?
mothers and fathers were different people then.
Right? Like, that's what they're doing, is they're literally taking out our parents, or the parents, and replacing them with the people who adopted them, and pass it off as a birth certificate saying, these are the people who gave birth to you.
This is true.
And
That's
they
why
do,
adoptees, again, this is why we should be listened to right now, because we've been gaslit our whole lives.
but this is the kicker here. They do this with transracial adoptions. So
That is
you have
that is
people
so weird.
from
Yeah.
two different races, two different ethnic groups, two different cultures saying, "What? These are not the people who gave birth to me," right? So that's an issue. There's amended documents, right? Which, by the way, other countries say these are falsified official documents. Falsifying official documents is an act of human trafficking, by the way. The other issue that they're bringing up in the US is that they're being sealed away from them, that they sealed their birth certificates. So adult adoptees for decades in the US, and I think some other countries, but the US, have been fighting to just unseal their own birth certificates. Their own government has been preventing them from having access to their birth records.
Which also it feels like the whole Epstein files and why the public is getting so pissed. Imagine if it was your birth certificate that you were not allowed to see. Well, we're not allowed to see the Epstein files because of the government. Okay. And this is our outrage. Adoptees that can't get access to their original birth certificates. Same thing. It's like, why? I think this could be the moment. And it could everybody could just wake up and understand that it's all connected. And I think that is another good segue back into the script. If you think this is a conspiracy, you haven't looked at the mass graves. You haven't read the sealed court files. You haven't seen the redacted client list.
It's not a conspiracy. It's a cover up, and it's cracking. We're cracking it.
Yeah, we're cracking it. The era of moral panic for power is over. The smoke machine is breaking. The truth is louder than the silence now. It's not a conspiracy. It's a cover up. Dude, the Ireland thing, that is nuts. Like the segment I'm going to link in the show notes is really good and you should watch it. And she asks a really good question. She's like, okay, they found 150 bodies or the numbers, there's 796.
There's 796. I've never heard of 150 before this script.
Is that an AI thing? Right. There were so many more than that because this spanned decades. It was even maybe still operating in the 90s. This is a thing. Where are the other babies and children if they didn't die? Like, why didn't they go back to their moms? They were adopted to the United States.
That news segment that you shared with me,
Yeah.
where it was a woman talking about her two brothers, and she did say that on the list of dead children was her brother's name. I believe his name was William. And she said, but he went missing and is believed to have been adopted to the US. But
Yeah.
here is his name on the list of dead babies,
Oh, he was marked as dead?
but no death certificate.
Oh, the no death certificate part. So they can cross-reference all of it. I mean, this is what happens when things start getting investigated. Yeah.
So it's not a conspiracy. Like there's evidence.
Right. It's not a
There's
conspiracy.
there's
There's
records.
evidence. Yeah. And I think that they've done it to too many people, souls at this point, that something's going to change. Like this is not a sustainable patriarchal system that harms women and children. I think, I hope.
Since you mentioned the patriarchy, so we have the church, we have the state, and we have the patriarchy. And we should definitely be highlighting each one of those. Like, really, if you decide, I don't know, should we continue having AI write the scripts? Each one of
We'll
those
talk for 8
definitely
hours.
deserves their own segment. The church, the state, the patriarchy, we could have a whole show about.
Yeah, next time on whatever this show's called, TBD. That's what we'll talk about. To wrap this one up,
You know, the TBD show.
to be determined. I like it. And it's like, yeah, this will all be determined.
I mean, really,
The moment for that, like, what is it going to be determined to be?
It's still being scripted out.
I know that's why it's like hard, but it's becoming more clear that the dots can be connected, and it's this whole global business model that has been constructed by the patriarchy. And people like Georgia Tan can get in there into the patriarchy. You're like, it's not just men, and that's not what we mean. But it's a system built mostly by powerful men. And then some women, of course, like figure it out.
It all comes back to it's about money.
Right.
Shall we
Oh, yeah, let's wrap it. They built the system on secrets, on sealed records, on shame and silence.
now we're speaking out. Now we're digging. Now we're remembering.
Mass graves, unsealed files, black books. This isn't a reckoning for the future. It's one that's been overdue for hundreds of years.
We're not severed. We're not erased. And we're not disappearing again.
They said they were protecting children. You didn't, but we will. We had this idea yesterday, and then it needs to be timely, so we are doing it now.
We don't want to run into that trap of, well, we have hours of footage to pull from, and and it gets overwhelming very quickly. I think that this is such a great way to start the show off because it is taking people into the behind the scenes, how we got started. It's putting the story out there up front as opposed to, well, let's do something and then, but I love the fact that you're also anti-AI. You have the ick factor. I love the fact that we got together yesterday. We talked up a storm between the two of us. And it all started because the adult adoptee movements right now are just so focused on getting apologies. I have to be true to myself as a therapist, as an activist. I'm not aligned with these apologies because I'm paying attention to these crimes. These are crimes against humanity. Mass murder. We have to talk about the bigger global issues and outcomes of mass murder. These cannot be ignored by our own community,
Right.
by our
Yeah.
own community.
Yeah.
And I'm not aligned with these adult adoptee movements just saying, make it about us, make it about us. It was centered on adult adoptee voices and adult adoptee rights. And I will continue, and I think hopefully together, we'll continue this, but I will continue to say they're killing us as infants and children.
Yeah.
This is not the time to center it on adult adoptee voices. Adult adoptees should be bringing up, look what you're doing to our kids.
And I
So
think that's why, yeah, I had that same reaction and then did a video. So fuck your apology. Deal with this. That was anti because I had to. Whenever I have an idea for a video, I have to just do it. But I didn't know exactly why I was so opposed to it.
mm,
And I think it's exactly what you're saying. But like some it's fine. It's good. It worked. It raised a bunch of awareness about adoptees and
mhm.
adoption. So that's not bad. And I preface my video with that. I have nothing but love and respect for everyone who did the UK protest and demanded an apology. And also, I can't help but do a counterpoint video.
Excellent.
It's like kudos to everyone who showed up and
Mhm.
organized that. And like, no disrespect, but why do I have this like almost, visceral reaction to it? And I don't want it. I don't want an apology. Like, fucking apology. Where is that coming from? But I think it's exactly what you're saying, and I hadn't totally unpacked it. So that is really insightful.
I'll tell you, Autumn, I have been looking into dozens, if not hundreds of cases at this point, and I make sure to find pictures of these children. And that's what runs through my head. If you're put in a situation where you're looking at that child and you're saying, sorry, we're going to focus on demanding apologies for what's happening with us, but not what's happening to you. Could you face to face say that to a child? We're not going to focus on you right now. We're going to focus on these other issues of human rights violation. We know you're being abused to death. We know that you're being tortured, caged, chained, dismembered, left in freezers, washing machines, sewage drains. We know all this. The media is covering it, but we're going to focus on these other things that have to do with us. Could you say that to a child?
It's not hitting. I mean, it does hit Israel. They're protesting in Israel with pictures from Gaza right now. And I think that's
There was
huge.
a
Like
huge
Israel's going to have to
there
do it.
was a huge moral outrage about what was happening to the women and children in Gaza. I remember the headlines,
Yeah,
3,000 dead, women and children. Millions of dollars poured into saving women and children in Gaza,
yep.
which is amazing, amazing.
Sometimes it like clicks.
Well, this is to your point. There's hundreds of children being tortured to death right here in the US. It
That's a
continues to
lot.
happen today.
That's a lot. I don't know how many victims Epstein has, but it's also hundreds. So, yeah, like where's the parity? What kids do we care about? Why don't we care about all of them? Gaza, the ones who were adopted, Epstein's victims. Why can't we just level the playing field and be like, look, the world we want to build protects all of them? And that's why I'm not super in the adoptee community. And I think both of us have the same feeling about that because I truly think our call is bigger than just the section that we have. That's our community. Like we'll never leave. And I love my community, but I want more robust change. And I want to connect all these dots and be like, there's a world we can build that is safe for women and children that
Do
has
you,
never existed.
do you agree that it starts with if we know that the youngest, most vulnerable, innocent members of our community are being tortured to death, slaughtered, and killed, wouldn't that be where we start in saying this has got to stop? This is the worst outcome in an industry that is out there promoting itself as saving children.
So where was the watershed after Into the Fire? Charlize Theron executive produced that.
Hmm.
Why wasn't that it? That was the nightmare scenario. And if you haven't seen it, watch it. But like it's the nightmare scenario.
Must
Kim
watch.
Kardashian watched it, right? I mean,
Absolutely. It's still on Netflix. It was in top 10 lineup when it first came out. When was it? Last September?
yeah, it wasn't that long ago. It was
It
like last
wasn't
year.
that, it really wasn't that long ago.
Goes back to the patriarchy. Her mom was just doing what she was
And
indoctrinated to do.
indoctrinated.
Yeah.
Let's let's get that into the script. Feed that
Yeah.
to,
Now we're off script and it's better.
you know, let's feed that into AI. Now, indoctrinated. That's exactly it. This is why we are out there saying, well, they did the best they could. They only acted from what they knew at the time. And
But
obviously
now
now we know better.
that's why this has got to be the new beginning.
But, to your point, like we're still addressing the same issues in 2025 as they were in the 1960s and 70s. It's all interconnected. And if you want to bring up Ukraine, Russia, I listened to a story on NPR. They were interviewing a representative from Save Ukraine. And they talked about how Ukrainian children were being kidnapped. Like there was no mincing of words. There was no kind of like innuendos or, just saying they were saying, yes, Ukrainian children are being kidnapped and fed into Russian families as adoption. They used words like they were being re-educated into a pro-Russia mindset, brainwashing Ukrainian children into pro-Russia propaganda. They called out this is a war crime.
And I think that might be the point of war. That's like one of the main things they always do. I mean, Canada did it. This is a thing, just assimilating as many people. And that's why it's so scary and timely to talk about right now in America. Mehdi Hassan just did where he debated people on the right, and it was fascinating. It just came out yesterday or this week. And they do say that they're scared of being replaced. These white supremacists said to his face, one called himself a fascist, scared of being replaced. They want assimilation. And this is happening right now.
I'm going to start bring this full circle and see if we can hit the
This is why we need a script, because I will go on.
Pause button. We can go on for ages on this. So, but bring it back to we got to get our message right. So for you, what is the message? What is this series? What is this TBD show? What is the message for you?
The simple message for me is that I want us to be leaders in building a world that is safe for women and children.
What is the message the world needs to get about all of this that we talked about? Like, what is the final point, the final takeaway? Like, where we want to land in all this?
I want everyone to have the aha moment they might be close to having with Epstein, see that it's a bigger global business model that profits off of exploiting children.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to stop it, or humanity's we also need to pivot to like protecting the earth. But that's another
well, so this is really cool because we got here. Now, for me, I am a vegan, I am an environmentalist, I am an activist, a social justice activist, and I'm very focused on our lived experiences. It is about getting the truth out there of what really happened to us. What really happened to us? Is this adoption or is this human trafficking? There is the truth of what actually happened in all this. That's where it starts for me. Now, to your point that you just made, all of humanity is now on the line because this industry that started with, well, let's just save children and create families, do the moral good for everybody involved, right? You're not doing so well. You're impoverished, you're homeless, you're living a life of crime. Let's take your child and put him with a better, wealthier, more resourceful family. And then we'll just put them in labor camps in, territories and colonies that we need child labor for. And then call them orphans and, right?
try to sell them to another country. But if they die, we'll just put them in the septic tank we're not using.
There you have it. The truth, this industry is taking it from, well, we started one market, the adoption market. Now we have several markets. We have the fertility markets, we have surrogacy, we have egg donation, we have all these other markets now that are making billions of dollars. Then what's next? This is what I'm about. What's next? Industry and business, the only business model is growth. How do we keep growing? How do we keep making more money? It's not enough that we're making hundreds of billions of dollars. We want more. It's just money and greed, bottom line.
Well, it'll never end because it's scalable to infinity.
What's next? Right.
I'm going to stop this first episode right here because the next topic just goes off into a totally different subject. So join us next time to talk about IBG and what Moses thinks about what is coming up next. In the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this episode and continue to watch. Let us know what you think about it, especially the whole AI script framework and just going over it as a commentary. Did you like any of the things that came out with? Do you agree with it? Do you disagree with it? What do you think about what we said and the apology bit? Let us know everything. We're here to talk about this. This is a very urgent time in history, and I think adoptees are natural leaders for this moment. So let's go. Thanks for joining us, and subscribe, comment, like. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.